For generations, the year 1492 has been synonymous with a specific image, an empty, untouched wilderness, waiting across the ocean for European explorers to arrive and begin the story of America. Decades of archaeological and historical research have overturned this myth. Long before European ships crossed the Atlantic, North America was already home to millions of indigenous people living in sovereign, highly organized nations. This map shows a continent defined by distinct environmental and cultural regions. The communities of the Arctic developed lifeways entirely separate from the coastal societies of the Pacific Northwest, the mobile nations of the Great Plains, or the agricultural centers of the eastern woodlands. Approaching this landscape as a blank slate erases thousands of years of independent political, cultural, and societal history. Each of these regions possesses a deep, documented past that developed entirely on its own terms. Indigenous survival involved mastering and modifying local biomes. In the Southwest, nations engineered complex irrigation systems to sustain crops in the desert, while eastern woodland societies cultivated high-yield fields of maize, beans, and squash. These agricultural surpluses allowed many populations to settle permanently. Over time, these stable food supplies supported the rise of massive urban and ceremonial centers. Take Cahokia in the Mississippi Valley. At its height, this city featured monumental tiered earthen architecture and sprawling plazas, built through highly organized engineering. Thousands of miles away, Southwest communities constructed dense, multi-story masonry buildings with geometric multi-room layouts designed to fit the specific geography of the desert. These archaeological sites reveal a continent shaped by intentional design, where societies actively re-engineered their environments to support large, permanent civilizations. This map traces the movement of goods and ideas across the continent, revealing a sprawling web of established trade routes. By tracking raw materials, we see copper from the Great Lakes moving southeast, and obsidian from the west traveling deep into the plains. These ancient copper artifacts provide direct evidence of specialized metalworking and a system of long-distance exchange that functioned for centuries. Physical objects often carried social meaning across these borders. Carved items like this shell gorget moved specific artistic styles and shared spiritual symbolism through the network. Indigenous travelers navigated this network using hundreds of distinct living languages. Oral traditions served as the primary vehicle for preserving history, identity, and complex technical knowledge. Far from isolated bands, pre-contact America functioned as a highly integrated international web of relationships, connecting people through commerce and shared cultural practices. Historical records challenge the popular stereotype of a generic warrior culture. The reality of indigenous governance tells a much more varied story. Political organization ranged from local village councils to expansive, multi-nation alliances built on sophisticated diplomacy and shared laws. The Haudenosaunee Confederacy is one documented example. This structured political alliance brought separate nations together under a shared constitution, maintaining peace while preserving individual sovereignty. Treaties and historical records were meticulously preserved. Beaded objects like this wampum belt visually documented political agreements, serving as binding historical archives for these alliances. Within many of these societies, women held profound authority. They managed agricultural production, defined family lineage, and served as clan mothers with the power to appoint and remove political leaders. These formal records and high-level alliances illustrate a continent governed by sophisticated legal and diplomatic frameworks, far removed from the simplistic tropes of generic conflict. By the late 15th century, North America was a rich tapestry of independent governments, diverse economies, and established cultures, as complex as any other continent on Earth. Meanwhile, as European powers intensified their maritime expansion, their ships approached an ancient, densely populated world already defined by centuries of history and political life. The era of sustained contact that followed introduced devastating disease and warfare, triggering a period of rapid demographic and cultural transformation across the continent. Yet, despite centuries of colonization, Native peoples adapted. They protected their languages, defended their traditions, and survived. Indigenous history did not end in 1492. These sovereign nations remain a vital, continuous part of America today. And next season, we will cross the Atlantic to see the forces that set sail toward their shores.